The government is shutting down. So now what?
Wait. The US government has run out of money. More than 750,000 employees won't be going to work.
Wait.
People considered essential will have to work, but most of them won't be paid, including air traffic controllers, airport security, and disaster response teams.
Wait.
But lawmakers and the president will still get their paychecks during the shutdown period.
This government shutdown is not just affecting paychecks, but also people's peace of mind. First came the shock. Many people didn't believe it was actually happening. Then came the blame game. But right now, it's really the silence that hits the hardest. And I am on the official whitehouse.gov website where we currently can see the clock. This is the realization many people are having. Bills are due, paychecks have stopped, and unfortunately for a lot of people right now, time is continuing to move even when the money doesn't. And I know what a lot of people are thinking. How does this government shutdown affect me?
So I know people who work for the government lose their jobs. But what does that mean for us, the people? So what do I have to look forward to these next couple of weeks or months? I'm a little nervous. I need to know.
Just hold on, because even if you don't work for the federal government, you may still feel the ripple effects. But first, let's start with the federal workers, because a lot of people have been asking, will federal workers be paid during a shutdown? What about layoffs? And according to NBC News, no, federal workers will largely not be paid during a shutdown. Employees who are considered essential must still report to work, although they will not be paid until the government reopens.
Yeah, you can just put it on the tab. No, the government shut down. I don't have money. Just put it on Uncle Sam's tab. Yeah. While I'm at work on a shutdown, I'm important!
So who does that affect? TSA agents, Border Patrol, Air Traffic Control, FEMA. We could even see delays with the IRS if this continues to drag on too long. And if you need to utilize any of these organizations, that's how you will be impacted indirectly. And I know what a lot of y'all are thinking. Yeah, people will still have their jobs, right? They just won't be getting paid. Well, not so fast. According to this NBC News article, it states here that in the first day of the government shutdown, that the Trump administration will start firing federal employees in the next 1 to 2 days. And we don't know how bad this can be if it continues past 1 to 2 days, if you guys catch my drift. And I know a lot of y'all are like, Symone, I ain't affected. I'm not in the government. Hold on. If you on WIC, it says here that Russell Vaughn warned that the Women, Infants, and Children Nutritional Program, also known as WIC, is set to run out of money by next week, y'all. Next week, if the federal government doesn't open back up. And y'all, this is not a joke. I'm reading straight from the source. It says here, the National WIC Association, which represents members on the state and local level, confirmed. So they confirmed that this is the truth, y'all. It confirmed the timeline to NBC News, saying funding could dry up in the next week or two. How many of y'all know somebody on WIC or you use WIC? Okay, a lot of y'all are gonna be like, well, I don't use WIC, I use SNAP. Okay. It says here that there were committed funds for SNAP for October, so it should be good throughout the full month. It added that SNAP has multi-contingency funds available, but it does not specify how long those funds would last. So essentially, it's here today, could be gone tomorrow, which could lead to food insecurity amongst the people in that location. And let's talk about air travel, because everybody loves a good vacation. I just hope y'all aren't doing it on Klarna or buy now, pay later. However, it says, how is air travel affected? Air traffic control service will still continue, allowing more than 13,000 air traffic controllers to work through the shutdown. But again, it's going to be without pay until the government is funded. Do you have a wedding, a honeymoon? Are you just simply trying to go on vacation? Do you have a work-related business trip? I need you to consider this. A lot of people who were affected by the government shutdown, who worked at the airport, all of a sudden were calling in sick when they weren't getting paid. Hint, hint. Everybody got the cooties at once. So what does that mean for you? You might want to get travel insurance.
And before I go clock in, watch how the you talk to me today. Watch your mouth. I ain't getting paid still. And I'm here. Watch your mouth.
It could get really real. I really hope I'm wrong though. But if it does, I want you to be okay. And another one that is likely to feel the heat is the Department of Health and Human Services. It expects more than 32,000 of its nearly 80,000 workers to be furloughed during the shutdown. Also going on to state that research contracts and grants in external organizations such as universities are now frozen. Additionally, it goes on to say that the National Institute of Health will not admit any new patients to its research hospitals unless medically necessary. Oh, and for all of y'all college folks out there, I know y'all been like, what is up with the school loans? Well, according to NBC News, the Department of Education continues to disperse student aid through the Pell Grant and federal direct student loans. And they wanted to make sure to tell y'all that borrowers still need to make their payment loans during the shutdown. They still want their money. And interestingly enough, it says in the first week of the government shutdown, the department said it would furlough about 95% of the staff who don't work on federal student aid. So if you didn't have everything already squared away, that might be kind of hard if they're going to have a lot of these employees furloughed. They're not going to be in the building. And it goes on to state, the department is also halting new grant-making activities during a lapse in funding. Oh, Symone, I'm an outdoorsy type person. This ain't gonna affect me. Okay, do you like to go to national parks? Ah, you do. I knew it. It says here, will national parks stay open? It states here, parks remain partially open during the government shutdown. However, emergency services will be limited. So if y'all hurt yourself out there on them parks, help might not be coming for a while. But don't get it confused, y'all. It says here, buildings that require staffing, such as visitor centers or sites like Washington Monument, are closed. The agency said it will not issue new permits during the shutdown either. As you know, in true social media fashion, they are having a field day with this one. So let's see some of these viral TikToks in reactions to the shutdown of 2025.
This is why it's important to have a spouse with a job, with the J-O-B. So with this shutdown, right, I was getting a little nervous because I ain't heard yet. So I asked my wife, if you don't know, my household, my wife handles the finances. Money literally burns a hole in my pocket. Like, you put that money in my head, that shit gonna be gone. On what? I don't know. But I asked my wife, I said, hey, we're gonna be good on the 15th if I don't get paid. And she's like, yeah, we'll be all right. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, our biggest bills are on the 30th, so on the 1st. So I was like, hey, how are we gonna be looking as far as the 1st? She'd be like, we'll be good. And now I'm like, well, shit, how far can we go? And I'm like, well, what will we look like on the 15th of the next month? And she'd be like, would we be fine? I was like, are we dipping in our savings to be fine, or are we gonna be fine? She's like, we're fine. She's like, you do realize I have a job. Like, I was like, yeah, I know. She's like, you do realize I make just as much as you do, right? And your check normally handles all the bills, and mine goes to savings and having fun. And I was like, well, yeah. She was like, I don't need you, Bookie. I don't need you to pay these bills. We just gonna be a little tight, but everything gonna be paid. That's all I need to hear. I'm good. Make sure your spouse got a job. Oh, and shout out to my wife. She about to finish a master's degree on top of that. So, hey, I might as well just go ahead and just quit at this point and stay at the house.
And I'm gonna point something out. He said this is why it's important to have a spouse. And I'm glad that his situation is going to work out fine. You know who's not getting talked about? Dual military. 2 people not getting paid? Oh my gosh. And don't get me wrong. It's great when you're dual military. When it's not a government shutdown, everybody's like, oh, you're dual military. Y'all both getting all this money. We don't know how this is about to go in the next 30 to 60 days. Y'all don't forget about them AER loans, Army Emergency Relief, and Navy Federal Credit Union is doing 0% APR loans for people who qualify for the loan, which means you have to be a member of Navy Federal Credit Union. So if you're not, and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do if the government don't pay me next month, wink, wink, you need to get that squared away. Time now. And on the topic of what he was saying, I hope nobody is taking offense to the fact that he's just happy that his spouse happens to have a job in this current situation. And I want to make sure to say that because I don't want anyone to be like, I'm not able to go to work because I'm a stay-at-home mom and that doesn't work for our household, because there is nuance to everything, of course, and what works in his household may not work in yours. But this government shutdown was very unexpected for a lot of people, and financially, people are like, hey, well, like, they're grasping for straws right now. So having a spouse that is able to help out in these rough times is a true blessing. But I wanted to quickly show the flip side of this, which is also relatable to a lot of women.
Finger down if you are a stay-at-home mom on a single income. which is your husband being in the military, and the government shutdown, which means that unless they figure something out, you won't be getting paid on October 15th.
Honestly, her situation is not uncommon, especially if she's married to a service member. My hope is that anybody that's facing furlough, unemployment, job loss, being laid off, or even just having their paychecks delayed, I really hope that people have something saved up, because that is what the emergency fund is for. I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, Symone, everybody can't save for an emergency. And for a lot of people, that may be true. If you were one of those people, whoever just was like, hey, I'm untouchable. I'm layoff proof. We're in the military. We work for the federal government. Nobody is safe, y'all. Nobody is safe. I wanted to look at some of her comments. It says here, everyone is saying you should have had savings, or at least enough to cover you for a few months. For this reason, like, okay, ma'am, please tell me how that's even possible in today's world. Underneath, somebody said, people have savings in this economy? We celebrate when we have $100 roll over from one paycheck to the next. And I'm technically a stay-at-home mom, but I bring in around $2K a month. But I actually am glad to see this. The actual creator replied with, we do, but I don't want to dip into it. Yes, I'm glad she got a little something. What people have to remember is, from each household, there's going to be a whole different set of money that is able to be saved, because everybody has made different financial decisions from house to house, whether that's your husband or your spouse. Many people have more kids than other homes. You can't compare your life to another stay-at-home mom just because you're a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, you probably have at least one child, but let's be honest, some people got 6 children. Some people just got 1. There are people on child support, high car notes. There are people who have a lot of student loans, credit card debt. You could even be broke because you're a homeowner struggling with maintenance or trying to keep up with mortgage. All these different things are not one size fits all in every different household. So I never really understand the comments that are like, how are y'all able to save anything? We're lucky if we can save 100. That's your household. And if that's what you can do and that's the most you can do, that's perfectly fine. But unless you know the nuance between you and the person you're speaking about and why they may or may not be able to do things, it will never make sense. But right now, that doesn't even matter, because everybody is facing the same challenge, which is those paychecks may or may not come November 1st. Some people are going to be prepared, and unfortunately, some people will not be prepared. There's a comment here that says, Navy Federal still pays. That's not true. They will not pay you if this does continue on. You have to bank with Navy Federal in order for that to happen, and you must apply for the loan because it's a loan. It's a lot, y'all. People said they over here stressed.
Because you're telling me that we are expecting these people to still wake up early, pack their fucking lunch, commute to work, sit at their desks, and perform their job duties fully and safely, all without getting pay. Oh, and then fun fact, members of Congress and the president still get paid during government shutdowns because their pay is constitutionally protected.
It's true.
So, hello?
I have heard so many people across social media express the same concerns as this woman here. I just think that the timing of this government shutdown is very bad, because it already seemed like people were struggling as far as the grocery prices, not being able to afford cars, homes, things of that sort. And I kind of feel like this was just like the icing on the cake. I feel like for a lot of people, it's a lot back to back, especially with the job losses many people have faced throughout this year. People are panicking. One thing I think could be helpful is reaching out to any loan agencies or any creditors that you owe any money to, just to give them the heads up that, hey, I might be affected because of this government shutdown, and I might not have the funds or the money to pay off my loans, my debt, whatever you owe. Because y'all know whoever you owe money to is still going to want their money. And it's just what it is. But there might be something in place to help you out in the meantime of all of this getting settled. And I'd like to know, if you are a government employee or if you are affected by this government shutdown and you are told that you need to come to work, but you won't be able to get paid, how are you feeling about all this? And if you're not, if you were in this situation, would you go to work, or would you all of a sudden have the cooties?
So you mean to tell me I done went and survived the fucking rapture for y'all to shut down the government? Not a portion, not a part, the whole thing. Mind you, on top of that, I done already joined this motherfucker. I protect and serve the country every day, and it ain't protecting nor serving me. I don't know what the fuck is going on, and I don't even know what the hell we're arguing about. But one thing I need to agree on is I need my bread, and I need it now. And if we're gonna go and shut this bitch down, I got a couple questions I need answers. If I'm not getting paid, am I supposed to pay rent? Because how the fuck that work? There gotta be some type of loophole to where I'm staying for free. Because how the fuck I'm gonna pay with no money? Oh, you mean to tell me I done been putting my life on the line for the last 4 fucking years from the comfort of my desk, and y'all gonna pull this shit the last 3 months of my contract? I don't know what needs to happen, but give me my money.
You know what really got me was him saying he survived the rapture to make it to the shutdown. Then he said, I put my life on the line from the comfort of my desk. People just want their money. They got bills to pay and they got obligations. And as more time goes on, I think that people are going to get more and more upset. That's what I think. If we get close to November and this is still going on and people start missing paychecks, I definitely don't think people can afford to miss a month. Let's not even discuss 2 months. Because again, for people to be able to afford that, they would have to have emergency fund money saved already. Remember, I've been telling y'all for over a year now, many Americans can't even afford a $500 emergency. And according to Forbes, 56% of people say they had less than $2,000 in savings, with nearly 20% having no savings at all. Actually, it's 18% that have virtually no savings at all. 34% of people who were surveyed said that they couldn't even cover an emergency expense of $1,000 without taking on debt. So what would one missing paycheck mean? How about 2 or 3?
Okay, day 1 of being furloughed, guys. So I just got an email saying that I've been placed on furlough status. However, during this period, I may be contacted at any time and instructed to perform specific expected work. So I'm not getting paid. I can be on call, basically, and I can't go on a cruise because I was like, oh, maybe I'll go on a little vacation or some. Negative. I have to be available at all times with no pay, 0 money, on call, but I'm furloughed.
One thing that keeps coming to my mind during this whole government shutdown conversation is the fact that when a lot of people are in the military, you are highly encouraged when you get out to try to get a government job. Get in the government sector. It'll be great. You have job security. That's what a lot of people thought. That's what they were saying. That's what a lot of GS employees or federal government employees would tell a lot of us when we were in the service. I worked with a lot of them, contractors, all of them. Now, I'd be lying if I said at one point I didn't think that that was a safer option because I even thought so. But now I don't know. And I need to know from all the government employees, what are y'all thinking? What are y'all feeling about this whole situation? Can she call off sick? I don't know what happens if they call off sick, hypothetically.
I'm an ER doctor and I have a lot of opinions. And today, government shutdown, you might think to yourself, I work in an ER. How does this affect me? But everything affects the ER. Telemedicine is not going to be covered by Medicaid by and large, and that can be a big deal. If you're in rural communities, if you are a person who needs to see their geriatrician but can't drive, if you don't have a mode to get to places, if you have an internet connection through your phone, but you don't have a car or money for a bus pass, you're not going to go to those visits. Primary care, specialty care, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get worse, or you're going to still have those questions and come to an ER. The ER gets more bloated. It's going to be respiratory season. We're going to have more people boarding in hallways. But besides all that, WIC, or Women, Infant, and Children, or SNAP benefits, people also call that food stamps, right? What happens when people who already have an insecure amount of money can't also get food? Bad things happen.
Yes.
Government shutdowns are bad for America. They are bad for patients. They are bad for the people who already do not have many resources that so many Americans can take for granted. Having food on the table, being able to feed your infant. I remember being in medical school with my first kid as an itty-bitty baby. Guess where a lot of that formula came from? Not from me. I had no income. It came from Women, Infant, and Children. It came from WIC. I can only imagine the primary care field, to the people whose therapy is covered by Medicare or Medicaid. They just don't have that. They're not going to get reimbursed. So like the provider will lose, or the patient will need to pay out of pocket, which they might not be able to do. Or if they do, it's at the expense of something else. If you're on a fixed income, if you're on Social Security and now you all of a sudden have more expenses, that's an issue.
And I'm glad he brought up the WIC and SNAP benefits because we did discuss that earlier. A lot of people probably aren't even considering that. And it definitely does create food insecurity in those areas. Never a good thing. And it's really sad to see a lot of people facing the potential downsides of this government shutdown, specifically in low-income communities.
Everybody realizes that a government shutdown affects air traffic controllers, border patrol agents, TSA, all federal workers that are required to go to work still. They're deemed essential and they go without pay. And while they're not legally allowed to strike, after weeks go on and on, like the 2018, 2019 one, they just called out sick, stopped coming to work because, some people couldn't afford it. They could not afford gas in their cars to come to work, even when the banks were furloughing their payments and they were racking things up on their credit cards because they had no paycheck. ICE agents are part of Border Patrol and they think that they're going to go without pay for 2, 3, 4 weeks. No, they make starting $46,000 a year, even with a $50,000 bonus. No. And last time when controllers stopped going to work, they created mass chaos at airports because there were so many delays, as well as with TSA workers. And that put pressure on Congress to come up with a deal. So that's likely on target to happen again this time. But now with the mass amount of border enforcement and agents everywhere, they think they can go that long without funding them too. I don't think so.
How many flights will be delayed? TSA pre-check. I already seen lines from last time. It was outrageous. If the past is any indicator of what we have to look forward to, it ain't looking good, y'all. It's not looking good. I hope they wrap this up before November 1st.
Y'all, this government shutdown is really no joke. And it is really, truly affecting a lot of federal government workers, to include myself and my husband. We are both federal government. But we had a meeting and there were people asking, is there a letter or something that we can give to our creditors, to our mortgage companies to show that we won't be getting paid? And it really hit me this is so real. I'm literally a part of that community that is literally being affected by the government shutdown. To those people and to all of my federal government workers, hang in there. It's gonna get better. It has to get better. And this too shall pass.
Being in a household where you and your spouse are both being affected by this shutdown, prayers to everybody out there that's going through it. I know people are going through it every day. Prayers to y'all too, but man, this is rough. And the thing is, a lot of the creditors in the mortgage companies don't care. They probably hope something like this will happen so they can collect, make more money, and seize back assets, get more people in debt. I just see people running up credit cards and stuff like that at this point because they actually might need to if they didn't have any money saved up for an emergency. And this is quite literally an emergency.
Hey, Congress, here's a fun idea. How about during a government shutdown, you don't get paid. In fact, you get penalized. That's where we should start. Congressmen and women should forfeit their paycheck during this time. They should not be getting a paycheck.
The reason I wanted to show you guys that video specifically is because a lot of people did not know that they are not considered federal employees. And when they found out this news because of this current shutdown, they were floored, taken aback, gasped. Do I think they would ever forfeit their paychecks? Absolutely not. Because who wants to work for free? We already got people coming out with videos saying stuff like this. And I don't know if y'all playing or not, but I'm getting scared.
Okay, now that the government just shut down and I'm a federal employee, where the sugar daddies at? Where the sugar daddies at? The ones that don't want no sugar. Pass me one, because we finna have to work and not get paid until the lift is up? The band is up? What? What a sugar daddy's at, because these bills still rolling in.
People are in disbelief and don't know what to do, quite literally. We're all just trying to figure out, how did we get here?
Huh? Shutdown. Stop sign?
Y'all, I'm hoping that this all ends very soon because I don't want to see anybody struggling because of this government shutdown. People are probably going through a lot right now, so be kind to yourself and others. Because right now, the world could definitely use some kindness. But I need to know what y'all think about all of this government shutdown stuff down below. Are you affected by the government shutdown indirectly or directly? Do you think that this is taking it too far? Do you think they need to stop this government shutdown today? Or do you feel like keep it going? I just want everybody to get back to a bankroll, but we got to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.